Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to your absolute favorite comic book podcast, Flea Market Fantasy. I'm your co-host, Mikaal, and as always, I'm joined by...
Michael Dell of the LCS Hockey Radio Show.
That is right, and it's my pick this week. And that is why we are once again reviewing a character called Starman, as well as a character called Plastic Man.
Well, tell the kids what the book is, Michael.
Adventure Comics, number 467... from, I don't know what year, 80...
I believe it's 1980.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is terrible.
So
Mike Dell, please.
Give us all your notes. Come on, Mike Dell. Tell us your research.
I didn't write any notes for this because this is garbage.
What?
But Mike Dell, now listen to this. We already did a Starman. Well, we actually did the original Starman way back in the day, and then we did this other David Bowie-like Starman. And now we're doing a third Starman.
That's right.
You understand, no one cares about Starman.
Oh, but they do. Trust me.
No one out there is like, oh, I got to listen to that Flea Market fan. Well, no one's out there saying that anyway. But no one's there saying, I got to listen to that Starman episode of Flea Market Fantasy. No, not that Starman. The other Starman episode.
You'll be happy to know there's about 3 or 4 more Starmans to come. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Now, please, I beg you. No more Starmen, please.
We'll see what I can do.
No.
Okay.
Listen, Michael. I have very powerful attorneys, underneath.
Oh, yeah?
I'm having them write up legal documents right now. In fact, you met my attorney, Tuffy. Remember Tuffy,
That's right.
the guest star? Yeah, he's my attorney. Right now, he is writing up an injunction against you. So
is he the
you
one
will
that
not be able to select any more Starman books.
Is he the one that refuses to come back to our show, or is that a different person?
No, that's still Tuffy. Yeah, Tuffy was on our Star Wars episode. Hey, I said he's my attorney. He's not like my friend. You know?
Gotcha. Okay.
No, Tuffy has assured me as a friend that he will come back on the show. It's just he doesn't read comic books.
Ah.
So he's not really passionate about anything.
We'll have to find something he likes. Maybe Starman 7?
Yes.
But anyway.
Maybe this Starman story will resonate with Tuffy.
Right.
It'll come back. But please, Micah, please promise me and the loyal listeners right now, no more Starman.
I can only promise that there won't be a Starman in 2 weeks. That's all I can promise.
All right. Well, I'll take it.
All right.
I'll take it. At this point, I'm a drowning man. I'll cling to anything. All right, so Adventure Comics 467. I did not do extensive notes on this, Michael, because, again, I hate this book. But I did do some reading on it, and
sure.
I guess this is 467. So issue 466, there's like a 7-issue run or so where it was $1, this book.
Right.
And they had 4 comics in one. You would get 4 stories, 4 different heroes. Mm-hmm. So then,
thankful I didn't pick that, right?
Yeah, but I guess it wasn't doing so well. So it only lasted like 7 issues, and then they said, all right, let's go back to the 40-cent price point. And so this issue here, it's 40 cents, and now they introduce Starman and Plastic Man. They're going to be the 2 heroes carrying the book. That sounds great. That sounds like, a surefire financial success.
Yep. And I'm sure it was, right?
So what happened shortly after this, Michael, do you know?
No, I don't know what happened.
Well, they had it for about, 7, 8 issues. And again, back in the day, they couldn't even tell how successful something was for about 6 months.
Right.
By the time they got all the intro. So, but then they said, we got to do something because no one gives a damn about Starman or Plastic Man. So they brought in your buddy Aquaman, Fish Boy.
Ah, to save the day. Right.
Yeah, so then they had 3 heroes, and they bumped it up to 50 cents.
Okay.
So then Aquaman was there for a while. And then... what is this, 467? So I think around maybe 83 or something. I don't know. They brought in H's for heroes or H for hire or heroes or whatever.
Dial H for hero. Dial H for hero, right.
Dial H for heroes.
That made sales go through the roof, I'm sure.
Well, then the series stopped at 490. And then they brought it back briefly as like a digest-sized book.
Right.
So would you like to explain what that means?
Yeah, well, the digest-sized book is basically what the Archie comics were like. The ones that you got at the supermarket when you're on your way out. They're like, about a quarter of the size or whatever, half the size of a regular comic.
Like Reader's Digest,
yeah,
I guess,
exactly. And they have
TV
the
guide, the old TV guide.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that was around briefly, and then by 1983 they just pulled the plug entirely. They just said, "All right, we're out."
It's a sad day.
So I think you can blame Starman and Plastic Man for the eventual cancellation of Adventure Comics. It lasted over 460 issues, but they couldn't survive Starman. So
yeah, that's what killed it.
All right, what about the cover here, Mikael? Would you like to discuss this?
Sure, yeah, we got Starman using the same logo as the previous Starman. Did you notice that? Isn't that great?
Yes, I did. Because when we discussed the previous Starman a couple episodes ago, I said I hated the logo. And there it is again. They just recycled it for this guy.
Now, before we jump into this, are you aware of the historical significance of Plastic Man? Or is this your the first time you've come across him?
We discussed Plastic Man before on this show, Michael.
Okay.
When we did the, what was that? What was the one? All-Star?
Oh, was it All-Star Comics or All-Star Squadron? I don't remember.
All-Star Squadron.
Okay.
He was All-Star Squadron. Yeah.
So you're aware he's been around since the Golden Age. You know, his original book was huge, and then at this point he had his own Saturday morning cartoon, and that's why they brought him back here.
Oh, so this is a tie into the cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. So we got our Starman logo, we got our Plastic Man logo, starring in Adventure Comics, which we've also talked about before.
Yes, we've done several Adventure Comics issues.
This is one of DC's oldest books. And we look here in the cover, and we've got a blurb. This is it, the Solar Sentinel's first sensational story. And we see this awesome image of Starman 3... flying through space in his costume, his awesome costume. Should I describe it for the kids?
Yes, because, I don't know if words will do it justice, but try.
That's true, I'll try. So basically we've got, he's got, obviously it's skin tight, and he's got, a red shirt and arms that are all one solid red color. He has basically what looks like Quasar's quantum bands around his wrists that are yellow and black. He's got a fairly cool little head design, his hair's sticking out, but he has kind of like a weird mask, and it almost looks like sunglasses over his eyes that are yellow.
Yeah, he's kind of reminiscent of the head portion of a little bit like an old Wonder Man.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah,
a little bit. Although his hair is free in his outfit.
Right.
But, yeah.
And then he's got a funky design on his chest. He has a star, but it doesn't look like a star. It looks like a starfish.
It's supposed to just be that's Ditko trying to show the musculature warping the design, but it doesn't really
work.
No.
And then he has what looks like more glowing stars on his chest, but I don't know if they're supposed to be I don't know if that's a cartoon rendering of glowing balls or if it's actual
glowing balls
star design on his chest, on his
I think they're supposed
torso.
to be little stars around his rib cage down into his pelvis.
Okay.
And his pubic area.
Right, his pubic area, right. So then, so then he's got yellow, legs, and then red boots with, kind of black stripes separating them. And that's it.
This is terrible.
And then we've got Plastic Man.
Well, we should mention that the artist is Ditko. I did say
Steve Ditko, co-creator of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, right.
Yeah.
So then we've got Plus all-out action with the shape-shifting sleuth and Woozy Winks. And we got Plastic Man and Woozy Winks over here.
Yes.
And Plastic Man is stretching and kind of going towards the bad guys, and the bad guys are holding guns, and Woozy Winks is in the background.
Well, Michael, you just say Woozy Winks like anyone knows what the hell that means. Could you explain?
I thought everyone knew that. Isn't he a household name?
No, basically, Woozy Winks.
He's Plastic Man's comical sidekick. He's kind of like a chubby guy with I guess a derby hat. Not a derby hat. But
that's not a derby, but it's a hat, but I don't know what you'd call it.
Yeah, and a polka dot green and black shirt.
It's not quite a fedora. It's not a derby. It's I don't know. It's a hat. But yeah, he's wearing a green shirt with black polka dots all over it, and I don't know.
Fun stuff. All right.
Yeah.
DC, we got the classic DC Bullet, number 467, January, 40 cents, all new. I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah.
So we've got a splash page here. We should mention the story is by Len Wein, whom we all know. And I don't know if you did extensive research on the artists, but it's Joe Staton and Bob Smith.
Well, we've discussed Joe Staton before in the show when...
was it All-Star? No. All-Star Comics. Did we do All-Star Comics, or what did we do?
It was that Secret Origins. That Secret Origins.
Oh, of Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pie face.
wait.
He drew the pie face.
That's right. The origin of pie face. Right. Okay. Awesome.
So we discussed them back then.
Claim to fame. Okay. So basically we've got these agents of the NBI, which is I guess their version of the FBI, and they're going over these pictures of Plastic Man and Woozy Winks. And they're trying to figure out... I don't even know what they're trying to figure out.
Well, they're mad that Plastic Man failed any mission. He was supposed to protect some witness.
Right.
Some guy named like the Canary or something.
Right.
And he failed. He didn't... So now they're mad at Plastic Man, and they're thinking of firing Plastic Man.
Right. And then just to help us out, because this is his first issue in a long time, we flash back to his origin, right?
Yes, and he was a petty crook who was trying to rob a chemical plant, right? And he got shot.
Right.
And some chemicals fell on him. And he was taken to like a monastery to recover, which is weird. And he woke up one day and realized he could stretch his face.
Right. And he decided
his whole body
he decided to become a superhero named Plastic Man.
And he said, well, I'm going to be a superhero. Let's have the worst costume ever.
I guess we should tell the readers. Oh, no, the readers know. Everyone knows Plastic Man. But the key thing about him is he has bare legs and bare feet.
And his upper body is like red with like a black and yellow stripes around his waist. But the top is an extreme V cut with laces in the middle.
Yep.
Remember when we were talking about the previous Starman saying he might have the gayest costume? This is probably the gayest costume.
Could be. Could be.
It looks very not masculine. Let's put it that way.
Whatever. So then we got our...
Well, let me ask you this, Mikaal. Do they ever explain why his costume stretches with him?
I think it's just comic book magic.
Because at least, like Reed Richards, they got the unstable molecules, right?
Well, I think maybe... I was going to say it got changed along with him, but no, because he got the costume later. Oh, you know what it is?
He wasn't wearing his go-go outfit when he got robbed that chemical plant.
I'm going to guess that maybe that's part of his skin, and he just makes it look that way.
Maybe he's naked.
Maybe, yeah, it could be naked. Although I do know that whenever he becomes like, if he becomes like a plane, because this is the weird thing, he's not just stretchable like Reed Richards. He becomes things, like he'll become a chair or a plane, right, or something. But
technically, Reed Richards could do that too if he wanted to, right?
But he just never does, though. Not as much. Like if you look at Plastic Man in this issue, he becomes like a bird cage and stuff. But the weird thing about him is he's always still got like his costume, right? So you can always see, like, if he was like a chair, you'd still see the yellow stripes, right? And the bare legs. They'd just be shaped into a chair. So it's kind of funny. But anyway.
Wow. I don't know about funny, but
I think it's funny. So yeah. So we got these, this kind of like, this shadow cabinet of guys in the, what is it? The NBI.
Yeah, I forget what it stands for.
Huh?
They say what it stands for. I forget. I don't know.
So basically, so they're talking about Carlton Canary, a.k.a. Yellow Belly, who had agreed to turn state's evidence, but Plastic Man was ordered to bring him in alive. So we see Plastic Man with the canary in this bird cage, bringing him in. And,
Plastic Man turned his body into a bird cage.
Right. So
his legs are still walking, and like you said, bare legs, no shoes, no socks. And his upper... Like his neck is basically reshaped into a bird cage.
Yeah, and then his hands.
They're the bottom of the bird cage.
They're the bottom of the bird cage. It's kind of weird.
And they're like, he's walking on his fingers.
Right.
With the bird cage. Yeah, I don't. The other thing I don't understand about this, Mikaal, is Staten draws these. Everyone else is kind of drawn somewhat realistically, like they look like humans, but then like. Woozy Winks and this canary guy, they do not look like humans at all. They have really exaggerated cartoon faces.
Well, no, but look at the guys look at the passengers on this train. They all look weird.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe just the bad guys all look weird.
Yeah,
Woozy's a good guy, though. I don't know. But it's like Plastic Man has a normal-looking human face, and then all these other people have very exaggerated cartoon faces.
Yes. I think every artist has a different way of doing Plastic Man's kind of like reality, and none of them quite work probably as well as the original Jack Cole stuff, but who knows?
Yeah.
So basically, they're like the Syndicate doesn't want Canary to sing to us, and their hired killers will stop at nothing to make certain he doesn't. So basically, they get on this train and they're transporting the Canary, and Woozy's doing his. He's doing his thing where. So this is the thing we got to point out is, Plastic Man used to be a criminal, and I guess Woozy Winks is also somewhat of a low-level criminal because the first thing that happens is, Plastic Man thinks that Woozy Winks tries to steal the Canary, or is it the Canary's wallet or someone else's wallet?
No. It's a priest's wallet on the train. A priest.
Okay. Oh, right. But it's actually not a wallet, it's a gun. And then they realize that these passengers are all bad guys, right?
Yep.
And so, they basically get into this little bit of fisticuffs here with these guys.
Yeah, so at least there's some punching. I like that.
Yeah, so you like that. So, and like Woozy does his thing, hiding underneath the chair. Meanwhile, Plastic Man is trying to punch them all and using his stretching powers and knocking them all out and blah, 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 blah. They're shooting. The lights get knocked out. And then when they come back on, Plastic Man has turned himself into a ceiling fan so they can't find him.
And like you said, he's still red, yellow, and black.
Right,
so,
right. So the reader knows, right? The kids know.
Yep.
And then, and so Woozy thinks that he's left them there alone. But then, oh, no. Plastic Man, he stretches out his fist and punches all the bad guys in the face. And he knocks them all out. And it's funny because I just read this yesterday. I don't remember anything else that happens. But I'll try to follow along.
Well, Plastic Man, they have to go back to... He has to take Canary there to the... Well, we cut to the boardroom of those guys from the NBI. Right. And they're still very angry. The Plastic Man never brought in this Canary fella. So they're like, we got to fire this guy. But then Plastic Man says, hey, gents, wait, if you gents are so anxious to find Carlton Canary, you ought to check your own files. Under C, as in caught. And basically, Plastic Man had turned himself into a file cabinet, and then he lifts Canary out of the file cabinet, and he says, look, I got him. Yeah, so there you go.
Clever.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty clever, that Plastic Man. And then, he's got him. And then they go outside, and I guess they leave Canary in there to turn state's evidence.
Yeah.
And then Woozy Winks goes back in. Why does he go back in?
Because he's not an official agent of the NBI. So he says, hey, they're happy that we got Canary. All right, I'm going in there. I'm going to demand that I'm made an official agent. So Plastic Man turns himself into a chair, so he's sitting there as a chair, waiting for Woozy Winks. And then Woozy gets knocked out through the door. And they kick him out, and they said, no, we don't want you as an agent. And
the end.
That's it. The end. Oh, Mikaal, what is going on here, Mikaal? I'll say this, spoiler alert for the next story too, but this entire book reads like it was made in the 1960s. Like Plastic Man and Starman. And I think you understand why DC was struggling in the early 80s because... at the time, this basically the same time this came out, you have the X-Men doing all the great Dark Phoenix stuff a couple years before this.
This is true.
You have Daredevil coming in with the Frank Miller stuff, and so comics are really progressing and getting cooler. And then we have Woozy Winks, Plastic Man, and Starman at DC. It's like, what is going on?
Here's the thing: is there's a way to do Plastic Man, but this is not it. Like, first of all, I don't think Len Wein is suited to this genre at all. But I actually think the art is pretty good. I did like the art. What about you?
It's very cartoony art. Like I said, I didn't understand why Plastic Man looked like a normal human and everyone else looked like cartoons.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't get it. The story's fine for what... it's just what it is, but it's just... This isn't... it's just meaningless stuff. It's like, I don't know. There's no point for this existing.
I kind of took all Plastic Man stories around this time, because I didn't read many, but I just thought, oh yeah, this is cool, I get it. But then I read this really extensive overview of Plastic Man in an issue of Amazing Heroes. Do you remember Amazing Heroes?
No.
Magazine? Probably not. And they basically crapped all over the 60s Plastic Man, all over this Plastic Man, all over the 80s Plastic Man, and basically said that no one's ever gotten him right since Jack Cole. So I'm going to assume this is an example of what he meant. It's just, it's kind of, we've talked about Len Wein and Roy Thomas and those guys before. They've done some decent stuff, but I just, their fans turn professionals, and I just don't think they're really were able to capture the magic of the old stuff, and I think that's what's
See, I
happened
never...
here.
Did you read the Jack Cole stuff?
No, that's a problem. I've never read it.
Yeah. So I don't know
I just assume it's good. Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, we came across this last week talking about the House of M. How you never read it,
That's
but you
true.
thought it was terrible. And I'll tell you this, Mikaal, I did read House of M since last week.
Oh, really?
And again, for those who didn't listen, that's Scarlet Witch and going nuts and creating a little pocket dimension of her own stuff. And I will say this is very enjoyable. Now, I think that Brian Michael Bendis needs an editor, but his writing was pretty good. It wasn't awful, but the concept is spectacular. And I really enjoyed it. So then I went back and I read Avengers Disassembled, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Which is where she had her nervous breakdown and kind of blew up the Avengers.
Okay.
Again, spectacular idea, but I read the first 2 issues of it, and wow, is that bad. The writing is terrible.
I believe it, yep.
There's still Brian Michael Bendis, but that writing is awful. So I didn't finish that. But if you haven't read House of M, it's way better than that.
Okay.
Like it's still flawed. It still's got some stuff, but it was enjoyable at least. So I give it like a 7 or an 8, like 7 probably out of 10. But
now let me ask you this: have you read The Vision by Tom King?
Yeah, that's tremendous. I love that.
Yeah, that's great. There you go.
Because remember last week I said I want to make Sweet Sweet Love to Virginia Vision.
Oh right,
remember?
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's amazing.
So now I don't want you to think that we're done talking about this comic book, Mike Dell.
Oh, I thought we were done.
No, we still have another story.
Hey, Mikael, I also watched WandaVision.
No, you're not getting out of it. Now we're going to talk about Starman. Unless you want to talk about WandaVision. We can talk about that later. Let's talk about Starman. Get it out of the way, anyway. So now this is a different Starman. For those listening at home, he may have the same logo, but this is a completely different character. So this guy's name...
Let's recap. The first Starman was Ted Knight.
Ted Knight.
Scientist. He created a gravity rod. And again, I have a gravity rod as well. I don't get to use it as much as I used to. But he has a gravity rod that can harness the powers of the stars. And then he was the first Starman. The second Starman was an alien.
That's right.
Who was terrible.
Mikaal Tomas.
Yeah.
Philip Mikaal Tomas, yeah.
I wish. And then this is the third Starman. He's also an alien. Now, they don't really get into his backstory here, but I did read his backstory. Do you know what it is?
Well, I know that he's kind of almost like a playboy ruler, like a prince, right? Ruler of a is he a ruler of an empire or a planet?
It was like an empire, and then he was the prince of one planet within the empire, I guess.
Okay.
But like his family ruled everything. But then like there was a rebellion or something, and I don't know. His sister took over as queen.
Okay.
And because you can only have one, like she was fearing that there'd be trouble with him trying to take the throne from her. She had him kicked out of a spaceship and just expelled into space.
Okay.
Floating around. And then some mystical guy found him. And they realized that he has powers.
He's a mutant.
And I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they said, yeah.
They gave him like these little quasar bands to harness the powers. And so he can fly and shoot energy beams. And there you go.
Not a great origin, is it?
Well, I don't know. His sister threw him out of a ship. That's pretty cool.
That's cool, but just the whole thing about all these other circumstances happen, and then, and by the way, you have superpowers. You just didn't realize it. I don't know. I don't like stuff like that.
I see. I see what you're saying there. Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty bad. Yeah.
But anyway, so at this point, we don't know that. All we see is a guy. We see a spaceship flying through space. And we see a figure flying towards the spaceship, and basically, he's narrating. He's got thought. He's thinking to himself, "I don't know why that ship lost control so suddenly, but now it's got only one chance for survival, and that chance is me." It's got kind of an ego. So basically, he uses his quantum bands or whatever the hell they're called. He uses some well-placed bursts of stellar energy. And he says that should do the job for them. And basically he slows down the ship from smashing into this like kind of asteroid field, I guess. And then and then basically the ship opens up and these guys start talking to them like, "Hey, sir and master, we offer you thanks in the name of the most august Lord Protector Oswin." And then they invite him into the ship, and so he just walks in. and then they close the door behind him, and I don't know, they bring him in, they bring him to the leader, and he's this guy named Oswin, and they just start talking. And he's like, hey, the Lord Protector Oswin, sir, guardian of the Galactic Rift and elect of the Empire. And you? Huh, Starman. Starman will have to do, I fear, and for I find names and titles tend to confuse the question. I feel the same way. Anyway, so so basically, they just start talking, and this guy starts showing Starman around his ship. And then as he's giving him the tour, we hear from off screen this and he's like, what was that? He's like, oh, the noise? Some engine, no doubt. Let me show you our control center. And then we cut to this, through this window, we see a guy getting tortured. And you can see Starman and Oswin through the window. So he was trying to contact, or, he's trying to, like, make contact with Starman by screaming. But Starman, didn't realize it was him. So that's what that noise was.
He's a bald guy with a beard and a mustache, and he's shirtless.
Right.
And his hands are tied behind his back, and he has a big, fishbowl on his head. And then there's another guy with a large metal rod with a red thing at the end, and he's sticking it right up his butt. And that's...
Not quite.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. He's stabbing him in the chest with it.
Right. And so the guy's screaming again. And then we go into the guy's thoughts, and he's narrating to us how Starman has only been around a little while, but he's already becoming a legend. And we see these flashbacks to previous Starman adventures that we've never seen, where he's fighting a green monster and rescuing a damsel in distress from a purple monster, and then he's fighting some other guys. And then he's like, not only has he pulled off a dozen impossible rescues, but he even saved an innocent man from execution on Kaidal, the prison asteroid. So we know that Starman means business. He's a tough customer. Meanwhile, the guy goes back to being tortured. And then, this is really awkward, then he has another flashback to, so he's like, never dreamed it would end this way, not mere days after being sent on a mission by the new Empress herself. So now we see him being sent on a mission from the Empress of the galaxy, or whatever she is. And
when you say he, you mean the guy, the prisoner.
Yeah, so the guy who's being tortured is now flashing back to himself being sent on a mission by this Empress. And then he's like sent on this mission. She doesn't even specify the mission, does she? Oh, there are tales of...
think, there's tales of unrest in the periphery. Freeman Jediah, which is his name.
Right.
They worry me. This is Starman's queen sister.
Right.
And I think she's worried that her brother is still alive, and now he's Starman, so she's...
Right. So she's like, find the source of these rumors, Jediah, and put my mind at ease. So then the guy's narrating is like, my search led me to a distant moon of Zal, where a native claimed to know of a plot against the throne. But by the time I learned Oswin's plan, he had discovered me. And so that's how this guy got captured. And then we flash back to the present, and he's still being tortured. But thankfully, he explained everything for us. So now Oswin is continuing the tour of the ship. And he's like,
for Starman.
Huh?
Yeah, for Starman.
For Starman, yeah. And then he keeps asking him, he's like, so how do you manage to survive in space without a protective suit? Do you have a force field? He's like, force fields are forbidden to Imperial subjects, Lord Protector. Surely you know that. They tend to damage circuitry and living brains. I mean, everyone knows that, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I still want to know how you survived. And Starman's like, well, I want to get out of here, actually. I gotta get going.
Well, he says, it's just a knack I have.
Yeah, so he's being
just
kind
a knack
of vague.
I have.
Yeah. And it's time I felt the currents of space around me again. Farewell. You can't leave now, Starman. So this guy's pissed. He wants to find out how he survives in space. So he calls in his guards to attack him. And he's like, if I must learn Starman's secret from his autopsy, so be it. So they attack him, but Starman uses his quantum bands to zap them and then kick them. And he's smiling while he does it. And he's like, you and your whole family have been out to steal the throne for as long as I can remember. And frankly, I never thought you deserved to even be a peer of the realm. So then he knocks everyone aside. And if you and your cutthroat crew will excuse me, I'll leave. Oh, no. He gets zapped. But he comes back. And he punches everyone out. And then
I don't know
what happened.
You see when he gets zapped by that nerve thing. What is going on with his right arm?
Yeah, it's backward,
Yeah, that's a...
It looks like either his head is on backwards or one of his arms is on backwards. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, Ditko drew a left arm on his right arm.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you could say that, yeah. Yeah, you're right, he did.
Yeah.
Yikes. So then the Osmond's like, that blaster has a radioisotope charge that could slaughter an army, but he's like, an army? A Starman? No. Face facts, Osmond, you have no idea who you're dealing with or what I can do. So he punches everyone out. Then he makes his way into the other room where that guy's being tortured. And the guy with the, whatever this is, rod, this fire rod thing.
Anal probe.
Yeah, the anal probe. Oh, the nerve rod. So he ends up zapping that guy, punching him out, knocking him over. And then Starman now is talking to the guy that's being tortured. And he's like, what do we have here? An Imperial security officer and a captivator? Starman, please don't leave me here. He's like, you knew exactly how to free me. And he presses a couple buttons. But that's supposed to be an Imperial secret. I know a lot of Imperial secrets. Jediah Rakane. Even your name. Now put this on and we'll get you out of here. He's here to rescue him. Pretty cool. So then he zaps the wall. And then they walk out into space. And then they just fly away. And, yeah. And we're almost at the end. And then basically... They're flying. He's like, you just have to look for the ones. Oh yeah, he's like, certainly ebbs and flows are everywhere. You just have to look for the ones that lead you home. That crystalline rock is your home. Now it is. So they fly towards this, like, it looks like a star, but they're actually going to like an asteroid, I guess. So they fly into this asteroid kind of headquarters, and when they get inside, they meet this other guy, and he's like, his name's Mentor.
Well, yeah, I think that's the mystic guy that found him floating in space. And then
okay. Which we don't find out yet, though, right?
Yeah, correct.
So he's like, you can always strike for the right without being wrong, lad. Remember that. You remember that as well, Jediah Rakane. Is my name no secret everywhere? There are no secrets here, my friend, save those Mentor keeps. And if we live in eternity, you and I will never learn those. Only because you will not listen, lad. So we're getting a little bit of character development here. This is great. So then the guy that was captured is like, Starman, you saved my life back there on Osmond's ship. I'm your man now. Ha ha ha. Funny, that's how I got into this too, sort of. Before you make rash promises, though, let's talk of what you know and of a job that needs doing. A job that may cause both of our lives to finish. Next, uneasy lies the crown. That's the end.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Would you like to formally apologize to all the listeners right now?
All I can say is not quite Dark Phoenix Saga. That's what I'll say, okay? Not quite.
This whole thing is just, like I said, it seems like it's right out of like 1964. Just,
yeah.
I don't know.
I was, it's funny is I remember reading this a few years ago and thinking it was really good, but now that I've read it again, I think it's only marginally. I think it's marginally better than the previous Starman. A little bit better.
Yes, I would say it's better than the previous Starman. Because,
yes, but that's not saying
again,
much,
that Starman was just terrible. It had he was not heroic at all. He was, at least this guy's heroic and doing things, but yeah. So it's better than that. And Steve Ditko is the artist. Now, mileage may vary on Steve Ditko. How do you feel about Steve Ditko?
I mean, his stuff in the 60s I really like. This is not as good, but there's still some moments that I like.
Again, this is fine if it's the 1960s, but his art doesn't really, it feels so dated, even in 1980. Yeah. It just feels like, I loved his stuff on Spider-Man. Ditko Spider-Man is awesome. Mm-hmm. But, his style just did not age well in the 80s and stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, I like the way he can pack so much into one panel. Like, when Starman first gets on the ship, I just like the way... There's something different about the way he draws, where he can just pack so much in. It's like he's using like a wide-angle lens. That's his biggest strength, I think. So, but
I like Ditko. It's a very, specific style. You either like it or you don't. Mm-hmm. And hold on. I was looking at his costume again. But never mind. I thought I saw like the sparkling lights extended beyond the red area. So I'm like, oh, maybe but no, it's all right. It's
okay.
Anyway. So if you like Ditko, you'll like the art. But if you don't like Ditko, you're not going to like the art.
Yeah. Now the writing by Paul Levitz, I think Paul Levitz is pretty good. I think
we've talked about him before. I think he also did I want to say he did the Pie Face story with Joe Staten.
He might have, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, the script is, again, better than the previous Starman, but not great.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like the flashback from the prisoner, and I mean, it's okay. Like, Starman doesn't come across as like a likable fellow. Like you said, he comes across as arrogant and kind of like douchey.
Right.
And so I don't know. And like they're not explaining everything, so they're trying to tease you along, like, hey, what is all this? Like, what is his backstory? What kind of job do they have to do? Who is this queen? Who is it? Yeah. So like, if you know the backstory, like I did going in, it's like, oh well, this is pretty cool. Like you can see what they're doing, so that's pretty cool that they're building it that way, like slowly, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't quite work though.
Yeah, it's
like they're trying to
weird.
tease at stuff, but it doesn't quite work.
And the dialogue is just, again, right out of the early, like 64 is probably even too late, because that would have been after Fantastic Four, like 61.
Well, you know what's funny about Steve Ditko is, even though he's he's primarily known for his work in the 60s, I've always thought of him as more like a 50s artist. But just the way he draws, the way he lays things out, very 50s to me.
Yes, I agree. Very like the guys are like almost, they don't, I want to say like flat and stiff, but like if you look at Starman when he's fighting, like that one where he's surrounded by those guys and he's kicking his leg, it's like very weird. Like that leg is not at,
it's like bent completely the wrong way. Yeah.
But anyway, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So are we done?
I believe so. I believe that's all we have to say about Starman and Plastic Man, unfortunately.
Just terrible.
So, what do you give it out of 10?
Well, I'll give it a 2 out of respect for Ditko. And
ooh, harsh.
Yeah.
I will. Well, first of all, we didn't rate Plastic Man yet.
Well, it's one issue, right? You know, so.
Okay. I'll give it. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. There's still some things I liked about it, so I can't go as low as you. No way.
No way.
I'm not an asshole, right? So.
For the love of God, no more of this nonsense. Hey, Mikael, I watched WandaVision.
Oh, okay. How was it? I mean, I know what I thought.
Spectacular.
Yeah, it was great.
I love WandaVision. Very good. Yeah.
I agree. So, it's definitely one of the more interesting Marvel properties.
Yeah, because they're definitely taking chances there. Like, you know, this is pretty...
Exactly.
You know, cool stuff. All right, so next week, I believe, Mikael, that our buddy Miles Watson is going to come back on.
Oh, cool.
Because he reached out, and I always appreciate when people want to come on the show.
Which is a rarity.
I think, yeah. Now, but I haven't confirmed it, but I think the issue we will be doing is Fantastic Four, issue 213.
Ooh, what's the significance?
Galactus fights the Sphinx.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And Miles remembers this fondly when he was a child.
Really?
So
look it up here.
Like, he wanted to do issue 212, but I suggested 213 because 213 is where they really fight. 212 kind of like, so we're going to get a lot of punching. So I believe 213 is what we're doing.
See, because on the cover...
Yeah, neither one of them are on the cover.
Gotcha. Okay, I just want to confirm. Okay.
Like, it's Galactus' herald. I forget that guy's name.
Terrax
or something?
Yeah, Terrax.
But inside the book, Galactus and the Sphinx are fighting.
Interesting. Marv Wolfman and John Byrne.
Yes.
All right.
So...
If you insist.
I believe that's what we're doing. Now, if Miles cancels or can't do it, it'll be a surprise pick.
Ooh, all right. Okay, sounds fun. Another short one. Poor Starman and poor Plastic Man. Oh well. Okay, so that's the last Starman you'll see for a while. Next week.
Let's hope.
Yeah, it'll be something different. But you can listen to Flea Market Fantasy on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, all under Comic Book Syndicate. You can also follow the Comic Book Syndicate on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, or the Comic Book Syndicate website. So until next Tuesday, disperse!